is called hump curve out there, right? And African out-migration is very, very low. Rates, it's a big region, so there are lots of numbers, but the rates of out-migration are very small, though it's hard to measure them, right? And they're small because they're poor, and they're trapped in poverty. So if they really get their act together, and it's the double-digit growth rate, if this is their century,
then more people will migrate.
This is the Saharan African century, let's hope, and they get double-digit growth rates, and everybody will assume, well, that will keep them at home. Wrong. It'll
All right.
more.
I agree.
There will be a flood of migrants leaving, and a bunch of them, I think an increasing number, are going to go to Latin America because things are going to stay bad in
up here,
Latin America and Europe. So, 20 years from now, 15, 10?
Let's hope so. Thank you. Should we just go around?
I think it's always important that there's like paradoxes out there to raise questions, no matter how small numbers are. So, two things, and maybe so I wonder. Still, you referred to Brazil being a special case. I happen to be interested in Brazil, so unfortunately we don't have time to go into that. But maybe we can exchange contacts. I want to make one point, and I think it is really like you're basing your why are Africans coming a lot on economic reasoning, and it happened to be though that in development thinking, in development terms, we always think in economic terms, and I'm afraid that by making that sort of the center of the explanation, we may end up leaving out a lot of other information. So what I see missing in your question, in your inquiry for now, is really African perspective. Because you make points that are very paradoxical. So people are coming, although they're not gaining a lot of, they're not earning much more money, but they're still coming. These are not poor people, they are educated people. They have resources, they're still coming. And I give a different, a comparative example is, there are German universities opening offices in Brazil to recruit students to German universities. So another possible explanation could be, well, Latin America seems to sort of flourish. It's sort of might be sort of the continent of the time right now, and you better go and create ties with the continent. So this is one of the things. I think it would be maybe network theory or whatnot. I'm not very solid in those, but I think one seriously has to look at African perspectives of why people are going. One novel I would suggest is No Longer at Ease by UW-Madison, who's they're telling how Igbo villages make an effort to send sons of them to secure education somewhere else in order to position them better in their own society. And then also what I think is very problematic with that sort of research, and that speaks to what I said earlier, is that there's such a variety of living conditions, peoples, cultures, whatnot in Africa. It's really you should be very cautious about looking at data only and not knowing why our Senegalese are going to that particular place. For example, what about they have always been trading? So they have always been traders. So there's an opportunity to be a trader in that particular place because maybe there's more tourist influx of Europeans into that place. There's a lot of.
Thank you. I absolutely agree. I actually grew up in Zambia and South Africa, so I'm very aware of the fact that we should not treat Africa as one region. I agree. I think just the problem is that as one person with one PhD to focus both on what we would, I guess the literature would call that the push factors out of Africa and the pull factors, although I think we have to be careful with these very simple push-pull models. It's just very difficult to do. But I absolutely agree that all of that, and ideally I would go to all of these countries and do qualitative research there and in the countries of destination. It's just very difficult. But
I'm dealing with triangulation in that too, so go for it.
Should we continue? I mean, I'm free. I don't know who has to leave. I'm happy to stay a little bit longer. If
you can take another 5 minutes, and if somebody has to leave,
okay.
That's fine.
Sure.
I have two questions. One is, I'm just curious if you found in your literature review information about comparing these numbers with the immigration to Asia and the Middle East, India, Dubai, maybe.
Yeah, you mean Africans Two, no? Yeah.
From Africa too. I know that there's a big number of people that go towards Asia
Yeah.
and the Middle East, but I don't know how it compares to Latin America.
Honestly, and maybe I missed some of it, but honestly, I have not found a literature on this. So I've also found, and this is how I started, how I got interested. I found newspaper reports, right, on the African migration to Latin America, and then I researched that a little bit. And there are reports of Africans going to Israel. There are different destinations. To South India. I'm not aware of a literature on this, and probably to compare numbers. But it's just so it's probably the same thing. It's so difficult to know where to look for the numbers. But yeah, I think that's also happening definitely.
And the other question was, I'm wondering if you have also found in the literature you studied any information in relation to the emergence of Afro-Latin America as a topic for research. If this has created an impact, this immigration from Africa to Latin America. The emergence of the Afro-Latin America research as a topic in Latin American countries, we're talking not in the US. I think it has been started around 15 years ago, with more of the acknowledgement of the African roots of all Latin American countries, but also tracking down the current immigration from Africa to Latin American countries too. I'm just mentioning that because there's a documentary, Afro-Argentinos, that does talk about that. So not only from the colonial period, but from...
I don't know if we talk about the same documentation, but I saw not academic, right? Like a journalistic documentary, or
It was
a journalistic documentary. Yeah, I'm not aware of it, but it's a very interesting point. I'll definitely look into it. Yeah.
4 points from north to south. Mexico, Central America, it's sort of long thought of as being the inflow channel to North America. All right, on from there. Ecuador, Colombia. I witnessed in Spain in recent times that they are with great pleasure receiving immigrants of Latino, of course, Ecuador and Colombia. It's less obvious that it should be an influx for black Africans, and especially that as a sort of a turnover point to North America, it isn't sort of obvious. Next thing, Brazil, of course, a long tradition, the most populous African nation on the planet. But what flows in from Africa doesn't seem to be largely from the old Portuguese colonies, but rather from other places. So it's a little sort of also a question, why is this? Then goes the next thing. They don't even all stay there, but rather go to Argentina. And that's the further puzzle, amazing. Why in the world should I, as an African, choose Argentina as a place when I could stay in Brazil? So it's amazing what you presented there. Really amazing.
Thank you. So far, many questions and
Yes.
a few answers.
I was going to suggest one more. I used to do work with immigrants, naturalization in Kansas. And Kansas City has one of the biggest Senegalese immigrant populations in the U.S. So maybe that could be a point of contact for you. I'm pretty sure there's a big support network there.
Can you repeat that? Sorry, who in Kansas or what in
Kansas City. So I don't know personally know any contacts, but that could be a point where you could start to contact somebody here in the U.S. and maybe somebody could provide an opinion from outside the situation with a familiarity of the situation itself.
Sure. Thank you.
Good. Well, Feline is here until Friday, probably. If somebody wants to talk with her more about that, I
Sure.
think,
I'm actually, I don't know if anyone's interested. I'm presenting the specific case of Ecuador tomorrow in Mara Loveman's Race and Ethnicity Seminar.
Where?
The Race and Ethnicity Seminar. It's, I should have,
Eighth
Yeah.
floor social science.
thank you.
Which one?
8th floor social science. across the street.
8th floor is big. What are the other numbers? 8,000 what?
8, 3, 4, 1, I don't know.
I'm sorry. I can look it. I can quickly go and look it up just now. It's
At what
at
hour?
2:15, I think.
2:15.
Yeah. So
That's you want to deal with Ecuador?
I will. Yeah. I still have to do that presentation today, but I. No, it's going to be more focusing on Ecuador and what I found there. Yeah. So, thank you for your
very much,
interest, your
Nadine.
questions. Okay. Bueno.
If that works for you, because I've got one of the last laptops and everything, so that, I'm assuming it's not
Oh, good.
we needed it sooner than my schedule. I could make you a copy, but I'm gonna. I don't know, most paper and. Oh, that's nice. So, you're like.
For now, it's really African perspective, because you make points that are very paradoxical. So people are coming, although they're not gaining a lot of, they're not earning much more money, but they're still coming. These are not poor people; they are educated people. They have resources. They're still coming. And I give a comparative example is there are German universities opening offices in why are Africans coming? A lot on economic reasoning. And it happened to be though that in development thinking, in development terms, we always think in economic terms. And I'm afraid that by making that sort of the center of the explanation, we may end up leaving out a lot of other information. So what I see missing in your question, in your inquiry, even if there's like paradoxes out there to raise questions, no matter how small numbers are. So two things, and maybe, so I wonder still, you referred to Brazil being a special case. I happen to be interested in Brazil, so unfortunately we don't have time to go into that, but maybe we can exchange contacts. I want to make one point, and I think it is really, like you're basing your...
and they got double-digit growth rates, and everybody will assume, well, that will keep them at home. Wrong. It'll
All right.
more.
I agree.
There will be a flood of migrants leaving, and a bunch of them, I think an increasing number, are going to go to Latin America because things are going to stay bad in
Up here.
Latin America and Europe. So, 20 years from now, 15, 10?
Let's hope so. Thank you. Should we just go around it?
I think it's always important.
It's called the hump curve out there, right? And African out-migration is very, very low. Rates, it's a big region, so there are lots of numbers, but the rates of out-migration are very small, though it's hard to measure them, right? And they're small because they're poor, and they're trapped in poverty. So if they really get their act together, and if the double-digit growth rate, if this is their century,
Then more people will
this is
migrate.
the Saharan African century, let's hope